literally had a dream. He woke up in the middle of the night, got a sketch pad of paper out, and sketched out what became our slicing machine. And it was created out of that from a pie tin, sewing machine engine, a broom handle, and a butcher knife. And he assembled this thing kind of in his garage. And eventually that really became what is the HoneyBaked Ham and the spiral slicing ham.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Hey everybody, welcome back for another episode of Business Ninjas. I'm here today with Scott Temme. He's the Franchise and Sales Development Manager at the HoneyBaked Ham Company. Scott, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. I'm really glad to be here today.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. So, Scott, why don't you start and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, sure. What a fun question. So, I come from a long line of entrepreneurs. I'm actually fourth generation business owner. You could say that entrepreneurship and business ownership is sort of in my DNA. And one of the reasons that I went to college was actually to pursue that goal. I changed my major to hospitality management while I was at the University of Missouri. Shout out to any Mizzou grads or current students at Missouri, MIZ. Hey, it's been tough sledding since we got to the SEC. We got to stick together. But I would tell you, I was working a series of restaurant jobs before and during college and really started to fall in love with the industry. There's something that's really special and unique about bringing people together over food. And when I changed my major to hospitality management, it was really purposeful in saying, hey, I want to make a career out of this. And I knew at the time that having come from a long line of entrepreneurs that I aspired to own one day. So after college, worked for a number of brands operationally, really took that. And then somewhere along the line, I discovered franchising. And that's my current role. I'm really fortunate. I love what I do. I currently work for HoneyBaked Ham Company. And my favorite moment of the year is when I get to pick up the phone and call somebody and say, hey, congratulations. You've been approved to become a HoneyBaked Ham franchisee. I like to think it's just a really fun way to help people realize their dreams. And it's kind of that intersection of food service and entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm. I think that's fantastic. I want to dive a little bit more into the franchisee, kind of, what you do. But I want to first start and rewind a little bit. For those of our listeners, I hope there's very few of them who don't know the HoneyBaked Ham Company. Tell me a little bit more about the HoneyBaked Ham Company.
Yeah, thank you. So we've got a unique story. I mean, we've got a family story, really. We were started in 1957 by a gentleman by the name of Harry Hunsler. In 1957 or thereabouts, Harry had a dream. He literally had a dream. He woke up in the middle of the night, got a sketch pad of paper out, and sketched out what became our slicing machine. And it was created out of that from a pie tin, sewing machine engine, a broom handle, and a butcher knife. And he assembled this thing kind of in his garage. And eventually that really became what is the HoneyBaked Ham and the spiral slicing ham. And we were starting in Detroit, Michigan from there. And we've spread across all 48 states now. We're 440 stores strong. Over the last, 65 plus years. And really, we like to think that we're a re-emerging brand. So we've got a lot of history behind us, but we're kind of just getting started. I mean, we've really put the gas pedal on growth, and we're really strategically growing now. We were a little sleepy on new store development, but coming out of pandemic and seeing some of our record-breaking numbers coming out of pandemic, we're excited about the next 4 or 5 years, what it holds for HoneyBaked.
That's exciting. So, when you were talking about the ham, what would you say separates the HoneyBaked Ham apart from others in the market? What makes it so special?
Oh gosh, I mean, how much time do we have today? I mean, we a lot. So it is really, we like to think it's the world's best ham. It is very unique. It's a very authentic product. You won't find anybody else doing what we do at scale. There's no water added ham. Is one aspect of it. You typically don't see that. What you might see when you walk into a Costco or a grocery store is a water added ham. So that's one aspect of it. But when I say it's authentic, it's a very handmade product. So only the very most select hogs become a HoneyBaked Ham. We hardwood smoke it for 24 hours, which is a real hardwood smoke. A lot of hams that you're going to find in your typical grocery store are some type of flavoring added, and that's not what we do. It's a handmade hardwood smoking process over the course of 24 hours. And from there, we bring it to our stores. It does get spiral sliced still, just like it always has. And then the really fun part of being a franchisee and the magic happens when we get to play with blowtorches in our stores. So we're in the back of our stores with blowtorches and sugar and spice, and it's a whole lot of fun. Even in my role this Easter, I was back there with a franchisee at Easter glazing up some hams. It really is a whole lot of fun to get back there and fire up the blowtorch. It's also a whole lot of fun to see first time folks try to pull it off, because usually not so good. It's a little bit of an art, and it's a little bit of a science to teach somebody how to do it. One of the things, and I know this is not what you asked, but one of the things that we've kind of stumbled upon, which is really unique, is we've got that younger generation of folks that come into our stores, college age folks, during the holiday season. And what we found and kind of stumbled upon is the pride in which they take when they create a HoneyBaked ham, because it is a little bit an art form. So when we were opening a new store in Boise, Idaho, for example, we had 3 or 4 gentlemen back there that really took it to heart, and they took an immense amount of pride in learning the craft to make each one special and unique. And it was really kind of heartwarming, because you hear a lot of stories about how that generation doesn't want to work and they don't want to put in the effort. And we didn't see that at all. We see that in a lot of our stores.
That's great. Any tips or tricks to HoneyBake ham a ham?
So how to serve it, or how to eat it, or how to make it?
No, the blowtorch. Any tips and tricks?
No, it's a little bit of this motion. If you're good doing this, you'll probably be pretty good at making a ham. So practice makes perfect. I got taught by a guy by the name of Bobby Fortner. If you're out there, Bobby, he's still with the brand. He's been with the brand a super long time, 40 plus years. He taught me, and he instilled just a passion and a love for making the world's best ham, every single one. I think he's got on his glazing wall, like "Glaze with passion today." And it's still the same kind of methodology it's been for years, Kelsey. It's a certain number of layers of sugar, a certain number of spices, but there is still a little bit of craft and handmade-ship, and that's part of what you're paying for when you buy a HoneyBaked ham. I mean, this is a premium product. This is not something that you're going to buy pretty much every day, but it is a really unique product, and that's part of what you're paying for, is that handmade, authentic nature of our product.
Mm-hmm. And, I think stereotypically people that are in, a franchise sales or development manager position like you don't necessarily get on the ground and do the work. So I love to hear the stories about you, glazing hams, on Easter. I think that's, it shows the passion and, family centric approach that the HoneyBaked Ham company really takes.
Well, I appreciate that. I've been with the brand for a while. I kind of grew up on the ops end of the brand. And I've been in restaurant operations for a long time. And I just, that's really where the rubber meets the road, is the operations, because, it can be a challenging job for sure. But the operations and providing that level of product quality, and also that level of hospitality, when a consumer walks into one of our stores, we want to make sure they have a warm greeting and that they have a fantastic experience to go along with the premium product. And a lot of that is, our world-class franchisee community out there. We've got 130 or plus or so of them. They've put themselves in harm's way financially to become a HoneyBaked Ham franchisee. And trust me, I never forget that. So I really honor them and enjoy working side by side with them quite frequently.
So before we dive into, what it takes to open a HoneyBaked Ham franchise, we've been talking a lot about ham, but there's other products too with HoneyBaked Ham, correct?
Yes, Kelsey, you've done your homework. Thank you so much, because, I honestly, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I don't eat a whole lot of ham. Maybe it's because I've been around the brand. I do enjoy making it, but I don't eat it a whole lot. My favorite products actually are turkey. I love our smoked turkey breast. Same hardwood smoke flavor of our ham, whole lot healthier. So that's typically what you're going to find in my refrigerator. During this time of the year, during the non-holiday or the everyday meal period, you're going to see a whole lot of turkey breast. I love our turkey breast. We've got a roasted and a smoked. And then, of course, we've got everything to go along with it, from our side dishes to our desserts as well. And then some of the things that go alongside that, the sauces. The thing about HoneyBaked too that you got to kind of keep in mind, and it's a little bit of a hidden secret from a franchising standpoint, is we're not just a retailer. So we call ourselves a specialty retailer. I like to say that we're a little bit retail and a little bit restaurant, because prior to this brand, I really came from the restaurant business. So there's certainly that food service aspect, but we really have 4 revenue streams and a franchising model, which makes us a little unique. We've got a retail, which is our driver, but we've also got a lunch business, 14 different lunch sandwiches, fantastic experience, some hot, some cold. And then we've got catering, which is certainly an extension of that lunch business, and then gifting. And a lot of folks don't think about gifting, but a HoneyBaked Ham makes a really, really wonderful gift at the holiday for either a client gift or a vendor gift or an employee gift. So, there's all 4 of those revenue streams. If you're a franchisee, really can help grow that top line revenue.
I think that's so interesting, and so many different options for, the HoneyBaked Ham company. You're making yourselves accessible, so it's not just, something that people think of during the holidays, but like you said, an everyday time period.
Yeah, for sure. What and one of the things I should touch on maybe is how we're starting to be more relevant during the everyday meal period. We've been very intentional about how do we grow our business during the everyday meal period. We're not just Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Easter anymore. We've got a really fantastic slider product. It was supposed to be an LTO, limited time offer. Sorry for the jargon use there, but it was supposed to be just, hey, something that we introduced, ham sliders, and we had a limited time. Well, we crushed it. So we've expanded it beyond ham. Now we have turkey. We're rolling out a couple new flavors, and we're really going to go deep and long this Thanksgiving or this football season. We think we're really onto something with our slider product and football season, because one of the things we've learned is that a lot of people just stay home during football season, and they tailgate at home and they invite people in. And of course, doesn't that sound a whole lot like HoneyBaked? Hey, I'm having some people over. I want a special meal. That's us. So we think we're really going to do well with tailgating. We're going to go big this year in SEC tailgating.
Bringing it back to Mizzou, right?
Well, yeah, I had to. I mean, hey, as a Mizzou fan and grad, I'm excited to be in the SEC, but you got to have a lot of heart to be a Missouri Tiger fan. I mean, it's not easy. It's not easy going, especially for those of us who live in Atlanta with Georgia Bulldogs. They're getting a lot of love. They've had a lot of success lately.
Yeah. So going back to your role, Scott, about, as the franchisee sales and development manager, talk to me a little bit about what it takes to open your own franchise, your own HoneyBaked Ham franchise.
Yeah, I mean, it takes certainly a lot of passion for wanting to own your own business. It can be lonely at times. It's not an easy thing to endeavor to own your own business, for sure. We do look for a little bit of retail or food service background as well. That's very helpful, because at the end of the day, we are in the food business. That's a little bit unique. And then, of course, some financial wherewithal. We do have financial requirements. And typically almost every one of my candidates takes on a loan. We've got 2 preferred vendor relationships for financing a HoneyBaked Ham. We're really proud of those relationships. They're great people, but I think those are probably the 3 pillars that I would say: passion for HoneyBaked and love of the brand, wanting to bring a brand into a community where it's not currently being served, some operational maybe background. And if you currently don't have it, that's okay, but you got to bring somebody on as part of your team that has that. And then, of course, the financial pillar of, hey, there's a net worth requirement and there's a liquid asset requirement that I talk folks through.
I think that's fantastic. Well, Scott, as we start to wrap up this call, is there anything that you want to leave our listeners with, either about, owning your own franchise, the HoneyBaked Ham company, the hospitality industry, anything you want to leave our listeners with?
Well, thank you so much for our time together today. Very honored to be here. I guess the thing that I would say is now's the time. Really, it is a fantastic time to consider HoneyBaked Ham franchising. Oftentimes when I'm on the phone with candidates, they hadn't really considered us. They maybe looked around the industry, and then all of a sudden they think of us. And really, we've set up what I like to say is kind of a suite of services to consider HoneyBaked Ham franchising. I'll lead with our most compelling offer. Right now, we have 0% royalties for your first year on all new store development opportunities. If you do the math behind that, that's pretty awesome. First year we've ever done that. It's a pretty historic deal. The other thing that I might offer is we're a little bit of a safe bet. And that's not me saying it. It's our new preferred lenders. We've got one of the best fund scores in the industry. A fund score is kind of like a beacon score for a brand. Ours is in top 10% in the industry. So we kind of think we're a safe bet. We also have a really newly created resale program. So when it comes time for you to exit our brand, when a franchisee wants to exit, we've got a great program to help. Is we're all going to get there at one point where hey, maybe it's time to retire. And we just feel like we've got a really great support system and we're really going to grow this brand. So come be part of it. We'd love to talk more about HoneyBaked Ham franchising and why you might be a fit for us.
That's fantastic. Well, Scott, this has been a fantastic conversation. I appreciate, all of your insights about HoneyBaked Ham, the industry. I think this was a great episode, and I really appreciate you being on Business Ninjas today.
Oh, thanks so much, Kelsey. Appreciate it.